What's the most cringy behavior you've ever seen from someone? My best friend Ryan has always been the kind of guy to put me down in front of others to get a laugh. He liked being the center of attention and didn't care if that meant throwing me under the bus to get it. It always stuck with me, especially when it happened around women. One night we were out at a bar, and I was actually having a great conversation with this girl. We were talking about art and travel, and she seemed into it. Then Ryan slid into the conversation like he always did. He started telling this ridiculous story about me wetting the bed in college, which wasn't even true. She laughed awkwardly and found a reason to leave, and I just stood there trying not to look mad. Later that night I told him it wasn't cool. He rolled his eyes and said, "Come on, man, I'm just messing around. You know you're not the guy who gets the girl anyway." That hit harder than it should have. I didn't say much back. The next day, he told me his best man had to back out of the wedding and asked if I could step in. I said sure. I threw myself into helping. I coordinated with vendors. I made a detailed timeline for the day. I even came up with this clever wedding favor idea that everyone loved. At the rehearsal dinner, Ryan told Mia's family it was his idea. He said it with a straight face while I sat there with a fake smile and clenched teeth. The next day at the pre-wedding breakfast, he told another one of his stories, said I once peed my pants on a roller coaster. Not only untrue, but completely random. Everyone laughed, except Mia. She glanced at me and looked kind of uncomfortable. That was the first time I saw even a crack in her view of him. Then a few hours before the ceremony, I overheard him talking to his groomsmen in the dressing room. He was laughing about how he once hooked up with a girl I dated for a few months back in college. Said I never found out. Said I was too clueless to notice. I didn't even know who he was talking about at first, but then he dropped her name, and I just stood there, frozen. That was it. At the reception, when it came time for the best man speech, I walked up to the mic with the version I'd written the night before. It was the nice one, the one where I called him my brother and told a funny story about how he proposed to Mia. I unfolded the paper, then looked over at Ryan. He was already grinning like he knew I was about to say something charming. I folded the paper again and put it back in my pocket. I said, I've known Ryan for 15 years, and during that time, he's taught me a lot, mostly about what friendship isn't. The room went quiet, really quiet. I talked about how he liked to humiliate me in front of others for a laugh. I gave examples, not angry ones, just honest. Then I told them about what I overheard that afternoon. I said I didn't know what kind of husband Ryan was going to be, but I hoped he'd grow into someone who didn't need to tear others down to feel important. I looked at Mia and said, I hope he becomes a real man for you, because you deserve that. I left the mic on the table and walked out. I didn't stay for the cake. I didn't say goodbye.